Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the VBL-S. It is time for Daddy Plan Part 2. Everybody's most anticipated draft season yet. I know it's mine. I've been looking forward to this more than any other season ever, and that's nothing but the truth. So for the uninitiated, Daddy Plan Part 2. Last season, we did a standard Gen 8 VGC draft. No Dynamax, no funny stuff. It was a lot of fun. And this season, everything that didn't play in more than one game is all that's left. So we have a huge amount of low tier mons plus some special high tiers that didn't get picked last season. So we have lots of mons like Miltank and maybe Tauros, and then there's also a mon like Zapdos that just nobody thought would work well in their team last season. So that was definitely a round one pick this time. So it'll be a really unique format, lots of high powered stuff with lots of good value picks, I think. And I think the way that people are going to try to win the season is by picking things that are spectacular in one certain area that maybe don't have the chance to shine in a typical format where they have more counters. Just to talk about that, if you look at the general stats of things this season that are 4 points or higher, you're going to have 77 HP, 88 attack, 85 defense, 77 special attack, 81 special defense, and 73 speed. So I'm on like Xurkitree, for example, which I didn't get the draft, but I really wanted it. Normally, it's not that fast. It's definitely below average, but when the average is 73, 83 is bigger than 73, so Xurkitree is now above average, and that special attack is still as nuclear as ever. And with the lack of Lightning Rod and not as many good mons that are good against it, it's kind of this is kind of the season for Xurkitree and mons like it to shine. So that's kind of why I drafted in the way that I did. You'll see I stacked up more than I have in the past on certain types. The only other time I stacked up on types this much was Season 3 of VBL-S, which I just did horrible. So maybe I do honestly think that this is the season to do this, because one of the things that everybody wants in a draft is a steel type and a fairy type. There are like no good steels or fairies left. The best steel left is probably like Registeel or something. I guess Cinderace is the best steel type. The best fairy type is Sylveon, and that is about it. And with that, the types that beat steel, or the type that is countered by steel and fairy, I think it's dragon type's time to shine. And you're going to notice that in my draft. So, anyways, getting started right off the bat. What did I pick? Oops, I'm on the wrong window. I started off with Sableye. Sableye is a mon that shocked me that it A, didn't get drafted season 1, and B, made it to me. I was picked number 13 out of 16 in the baby. Oh yeah, so we expanded the league because so many people were interested in doing the Daddy Plan Part 2. So we now have two conferences with two separate drafts, the Daddy Conference and the Baby Conference. I'm representing the Baby Conference and the Toxtricity Division. Baby Conference is the best conference. We already know that. It's already been confirmed. No need to rub it into Daddy Conference anymore. Oops, I'm on the wrong draft, HQ. So I started off with Sableye, and I think Jordan's the one who says having Sableye is like playing on easy mode, and he's definitely right. So Sableye is, I think, probably the best support mon in this format. Prankster is really, really hard to come by. It's only like Sableye, Meowstic, and then the Baby Grimmsnarl line, which Morgrim's great. Impidimp kind of sucks, doesn't even have the good move pool. And there might be like one other Prankster I'm forgetting about, but I think it literally is just the ones that I just mentioned. And within those Pranksters, Sableye is, I think, honestly the best of them. Close competition with Meowstic. Meowstic does get Skill Swap, which is a super cool combo if you have like Fungus or something, which I think, I don't know. No, Sukaba drafted Meowstic, I think, and I don't think they had anything fancy to pair with it. As far as I know. Maybe I face him week 1, so we'll see, I guess. But Sableye's amazing. It's definitely a mon that has been helped over time. Gen 3, this thing was absolute dog shit. Keen-Eye Sableye, great. What are you going to do with that? You got your 75 attack and your 50 speed. Good luck making any actual use out of that. But come Gen 5, Sableye gets blessed with Prankster. Well, first of all, it got Stall, which is just kind of like even a kick in the pants harder than that. I mean, having an ability worse than Keen-Eye is pretty hard. But then you get gifted Stall, and you just kind of, I don't know. It's kind of take a knee for that one. But thankfully, Gen 5 comes around. You get Prankster, and Sableye shoots through the roof in viability, especially in VGC. And let's talk about why. So, Prankster with all these support moves. We have Fake Out, Taunt, Knockoff, which doesn't get Prankster. Encore, which is like becoming one of my favorite moves. Helping Hand. I didn't know Sableye got Icy Wind. That's neat to know. And then you get some other good status stuff. You can do the trick switcheroo thing, or trick lagging tail, like Grimmsnarl's kind of known for. All that kind of stuff. And Sableye is just like baby Grimmsnarl. So, I mean, obviously you would rather have Grimmsnarl than Sableye most of the time. Sableye's unique that it can't get faked out, which is part of the benefit of why this mon is easy mode. It helps enable the rest of your team so just incredibly easily. And one of the big things about Sableye that I think people are kind of overlooking and have historically overlooked is that, yeah, 50 HP, 75 defense, and 65 SPDF kind of suck. But in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't suck that hard, right? So I did make the bulk calculator. Because I like statistics and I like looking at numbers. And when you look at it and compare it to other mons around it, it actually doesn't look that bad. So if you take into account Sableye's physical bulk, in the fact that it has Prankster, it allows you to go max into your HP and whatever defenses you want that week, which really kind of frees up some room for it to be a lot bulkier than you would otherwise think it is. So if you go max, Sableye, one sec here. Okay, I paused for a second just to check my numbers because I wasn't believing what I was seeing. But so Sableye is a good Pokemon for the fact that it has the Ghost Dark typing, which has only one weakness, which is Fairy. And in this format, it's super hard to hit Sableye super effectively with Stab. If I face Sylveon, I might be in a bit of a tough spot. But I mean, there's really not too many good Fairy types to hit it super effectively. So within the Daddy Plan calculator, I have an option to toggle for kind of factor and type effectiveness. It's kind of a bastard way to do it. You just kind of take the sum of all the types left that are more than X point value, and then you multiply that across by the frequency and the damage multiplier that Sableye takes from getting hit with those types of attacks. And Dark Ghost is one of the best types in this format defensively, just because of how nothing has any super effective hits on it. Granted, it doesn't have the best resistances. It's only resistant to poison, but those 3 immunities are really nice because normal and psychic are like the two of the 3 most common types in this format, specifically Daddy Plan Part 2. There's a ton of psychics left, which is kind of weird. So it's really hard to hit Sableye super effectively, and if you factor that in and give Sableye max HP and max defense, it's roughly as physically bulky as a max HP Toxapex. Hear me out. I'm not lying. It's just what the numbers say. Don't argue with it. But a more realistic comparison is that it's essentially, like, if you do factor in for typing and stuff, it's about as physically bulky as a Nidoqueen and especially bulky as a Galarian Weezing. Mons, which both typically like to be somewhat invested in bulk, but the difference is Sableye is always going to be moving first, so maybe if it takes 2 hits to knock Sableye out, I'm getting 3 turns to do things, which is a lot more than something like a, I don't know, maybe like a Morgrim or an Impidimp can say. And that's just super easy to do with my amazing typing right there. So that's enough about Sableye. It's the ultimate enabler for the rest of the team, and we're going to talk about that right here. And speaking of mons that want to be enabled, I picked Blistephalon, which is the second Tay beat me in the last season in the quarterfinals. I knew that this is what I wanted to pick next. Blistephalon is fucking bananas. This thing is so strong. 107 speed is like sky high for this format. 151 its special attack is the second highest. It's only behind Circuitry. And even its attack is super high too. I don't think this gets the best physical move pool, but it's definitely an option to switch it up one week if they have like the Chansey or something maybe. But I don't think anybody drafted Chansey. But Blistephalon is here to just do incredibly large amounts of damage incredibly quickly. I'm fast enough to where I could maybe just straight up run Choice Specs with Mind Blown and just destroy everything on the field, including my teammate and including Blistephalon, but it's a possibility. It also has a non-zero amount of good support options. Taunt is always incredible. Encore is great in front of him with a mon that forces protects like Blistephalon does. And I mean, I have double Ghost, double Encore, so good luck. You definitely don't want to be caught off guard against this thing. It is so unbelievably strong, and it has Beast Boost, best ability in the game. So you get that one boost, and you're off to the races, man. perfect mon for Choice Scarf, perfect mon for Specs, Life Orb was even fine. And these defenses aren't too bad, honestly. I had Pheromosa last season, and that thing can live one hit. Blistephalon can live. If Pheromosa can live a hit, this thing can live a hit. Obviously not as fast as Pheromosa. Oh, if this thing had 151 speed, this thing would be banned, honestly. But Blistephalon's going to be a great just damage dealer. I love mons like this. Can deal ridiculous amounts of damage to the opponent. I have Quash on Sableye, so even if they do have a Scarfer, even if they do have something with like how does Quash work with priority? I don't know. We'll figure that out. But like, yeah, it's gonna be a good mon, obviously. Paired with Fake Out support, Blistephalon's gonna be taking some lives. So the next mon I wanted, which I was also debating if I wanted to pick it or Dragonite first, but I decided, I don't remember if I think Dragonite got picked actually. So I went with another flying dragon type, Noivern. So Noivern is incredibly fast. 123 outspeeds almost everything. The only things I can think of that outspeed it are like Excelgor, and if there's any I don't think there's any 130 base mons left. So like Excelgor or Ninjask, like what else are you gonna? How else are you gonna outspeed this thing? I don't know. Well, I can tell you how I have a Choice Scarf, but if I have Frisk, I'll know that you have a Choice Scarf, so I can get out of there before you Ice Beam me to death. So Noivern, it's a really good mon, super fast, 95 special attack. Like kind of the theme of this, might not be so great overall, but in this format where the average HP and special defense are both are 77 and 81, 97 is looking pretty nice. With the great stab combo of Dragon and Flying, there's really not much that resists that, because I mean, oh, I'll just send in my Steel type. Oh wait, I don't have any fucking Steel types because there's none left. It's really hard to stand up to this thing because it's going to be able to deal neutral damage at least to pretty much everything on your team. And it's also incredibly fast, and it has Tailwind. It's amazing. If I have a bad matchup where I can't deal much damage, I have Super Fang to half your health and then Blistephalon to take care of the rest. Honestly, Noivern, Blistephalon, great combo. Telepathy to protect me from Mind Blown. If I want to use Boom Burst for spread damage, I have the Double Ghost to resist that. And I mean, there's even use for Infiltrator, honestly. I got Substitute ran against me a lot last season. I could see it being run to protect from Sableye's burns and stuff like that. So I'll just go right through there and take care of you that way. Noivern's a great mon. It's always been something I've looked at, and I think it's really going to shine in a format with the dearth of Steels and Fairies. And hey, speaking of another mon that hates Steel types and Fairy types, let me just double check. I took a picture of my draft squad on my phone because I wanted to make sure I did the order right. Yeah, that's what I thought. So, can you name me a mon that hates fairies more than these two? I can. It's Hydreigon. Hydreigon is such a cool mon. It's so badass looking, and it's super strong physically and specially for this format. Way above average in every single stat. And we have Levitate to help out with that nice little ground weakness right there. So good job, me. Good team building. Hydreigon is here because Dark and Dragon are really hard to resist unless you're a Fairy type. But guess what? There's no Fairy types, and this thing also learns Flash Cannon if I need it. So Hydreigon is the ultimate, it's kind of like the ultimate just in offensive potential. Honestly, it's one of the Rainbow mons, right? It learns an attack from like every fucking type. It can run physical or special. I've seen both run viably. Has Dragon Dance, has Nasty Plot. This thing cannot be given a turn to do what it wants. Honestly, if the fairies are gone, Hydreigon comes out and just finishes up the game, honestly. It's super the coverage on this thing is absolutely bonkers. You can run no stab during the week and you'll be totally fine because 125 special attack is enormous. 105 attack is fine with its high base. Like, I've seen this thing run Iron Tail, honestly. It gets the one up on fairies because a lot of fairies like Sylveon are more specially defensive. So if you run this thing physical Life Orb Iron Tail with like a Dragon Dance and then, I don't know, fucking Dragon Rush or Crunch maybe, there you go. That's a perfectly viable Hydreigon set. It also gets Snarl for, oh shit, I forgot to put that on here. Let's get rid of Haze. Oh, that's why, because it's not even on there as an option. So, yeah, it gets Snarl. Lots of good support options as well. Unfortunately, it doesn't learn Tailwind in this gen, which would be sick if it did. But I'm just looking forward for this thing to clicking Draco Meteors, getting kills, clicking Dark Pulses, and getting kills. Definitely helps out with my Blistephalon weakness to Ghost and other Dark types. Because I'm pretty sure this thing gets fucking Focus Blast too. So Hydreigon is an absolute monster. The next mon I picked, I wanted to pick, at this point, Sylveon was gone, and like, there's like one other good fairy type that was gone too. So I picked what honestly I think is the value pick of the draft. I said it before, I'm going to say it right here again. And in the best viable fairy type after Sylveon, and like, I feel like there's one more I'm forgetting about. And that is Spritzy, returning from VBL-N Season 3 to Little Cup Season. Holy shit, this thing is great. I never really got to run a Violet Spritzy in that because I wanted it on other things, but good god, does this thing just not die if it has an Eviolite. If you look at the bulk on Spritzy, before you account for typing, if you put max HP and max special defense into this, well, max HP and max defense, it's as bulky as Palisand. Max HP, max special defense, it's as bulky as Glastrier. That's fucking bananas. And once you put on the Eviolite and factor in for typing, it's literally as bulky as Wobbuffet and Guzzlord, which are incredible. And if you factor that in, overall bulk, max with your with an Eviolite, this thing is top 20 for defensive profile, like, and being hard to take down. That sounds like a lie. It sounds like I'm making shit up. It sounds like I'm massaging the numbers to make it say what I wanted to say, but I'm not. It's just the formula. The formula is not perfect, obviously. It doesn't mean Spritzy's never going to die, but it means this thing is a pain in the ass to take down, and it's the ultimate Trick Room setter, just like Aromatisse is. Aromaveil is an incredible ability. I mean, you saw the set in last season of VBL-N. Trick Room, Moonblast, Encore, Protect. That's all you need. Spritzy is totally viable with those 4 moves. A Violite, max HP, and the rest of defenses however I see fit. Oh, it also gets Ally Switch. That's awesome. Oh yeah, because there's like no redirection in this format either, so Ally Switch is the best you're going to get. Helping Hand is another option because, unlike in Little Cup, Spritzy really can't do much damage by itself. 63 is not quite what it is in Little Cup. So, you know, if I don't want to do damage myself, I have Helping Hand for Noivern, Hydreigon, Blistephalon, my Trick Room mons, which will be coming up shortly. Spritzy's an amazing Pokemon. It's always been my favorite Gen 6 mon. I think it's so fucking cute. It's a tragedy that it didn't evolve into a Plague Doctor. But, you know, we can live in a world where Spritzy is just a Violet Spritzy all by itself. We don't have to pretend. We can pretend that Aromatisse doesn't exist. And I can live with my little Violet Spritzy and setting up Trick Room and encoring for the rest of time. And I'm keen to do that. So Spritzy, unironically top 3 fairy type in the format. Reply in the comments if you think I'm full of shit. Tell me why I'm wrong. So next mon I picked is a slow mon that can synergize with the Trick Room mode, and that's Quagsire. Ground and water is one of the best types in the game, and Quagsire is the best one left. Whiscash is actually pretty good too, so I think somebody drafted that will do well for them, I'm sure. But Quagsire is great because we have 2 good abilities. Water Absorb, Unaware. Don't want to run Damp because that has counter synergy with Blistephalon, which actually counters Mind Blown and Explosion, which are 2 things that Blistephalon likes to do. But I have Quagsire here because of this amazing typing. Look at all these resists and 1 weakness, which is a 4x grass weakness. But hey, look at all these amazing grass resists that I have. Even though none of them are bulky, they're definitely not going to die in 2 or 3 hits from a grass move anytime soon. Quagsire, I mean, slow as shit, great typing, passable offense is definitely above average bulk physically. Maybe run it with a leftover set where you curse up and just never die. A Rest Talk set is fine. An Assault set vest is fine because it learns all sorts of good moves. And hey, look, that is my 4th Encore mon in my first 6 picks, so definitely going to be an option on all those mons that I can run it on because it's just such a good move, such a good utility move. Honestly, one of my favorites. But yeah, Quagsire is great. Good water type, good ground type, gets the job done, and has that amazing, sweet, tasty defensive profile. My next pick is one that I actually have to thank Sam for. Sam is like he's the ultimate in draft assistance. I know he's helped out a lot of other people on their drafts, and he definitely helped out me. Because my team, as you can see, has a huge fairy weakness. Part of that's intentional because I don't think fairy is they're not very common this season. But you do need a fairy resist. Lots of things can get. Dazzling Gleam is a coverage move. Moonblast is obviously a lot rarer. So Dazzling Gleam, you have the lower base power, you have the spread reduction. But if you can hit both my mons super effectively, Dazzling Gleam is going to be worth a move slot on at least 1 or 2 of your mons. So having resists is important. Blistephalon is 1, not very strong, but Venusaur, now that's a fairy counter right there. We got our poison type, we got a good offensive stat, and you know, Venusaur can just do Venusaur things. I can run Chlorophyll with Pranks Your Sunny Day, start shooting off solar beams and leaf storms and sleep powders and just ruin your day. I can do slow and bulky with Leech Seed and all that kind of shit. You know, it's going to be a good time for Venusaur. Poison is obviously not the best stab, but on the matchups where I do face a fairy and I need that extra hit, I can definitely get the job done with a Sludge Bomb. But Venusaur is mainly going to be my kind of an annoying mon, my Chlorophyll Sweeper if I want to run that mode, if I want to have a good fairy resist, and I can do those both at the same time, honestly. So I'm looking forward to use Venusaur. It was definitely really overpriced last season, but there was you didn't have to use Manual Sun, but and there are some circumstances where Manual Sun is better if you're facing, because like there are rain teams and sand teams this season. There is a hail team too, everything but Sun. So it's a lot harder to counter Manual Sun. You can't just switch in on the first turn, because you'll switch in first, Sableye will set up the Sun, and then you go to sleep. So definitely looking forward to using that, having that in the back, and forcing my opponents to prep for that, because who else on my team likes Manual Sun? Let's think about it. I don't know, the mon with 150 power spread fire move? Probably that one too. So gotta watch out for my team's like 3-piece Sun mode. Next pick, we have your boy Walrein. So Walrein is a mon that I picked because I was also developing a really big ice weakness, and nothing resists ice better than Walrein. I guess if I like Celio, but shut up. Thick Fat, Ice Body, and Oblivious are all, well, that's not true. Thick Fat and Oblivious are good abilities. Ice Body is kind of stinky poo-poo, and I will never be using it because I don't even think I have anything that learns Hail besides Walrein itself, and I'm not about to fucking click Hail to just get leftovers. But Walrein is incredibly bulky. 101, 90 is super high. It's actually like as bulky as Latias, with and without that weird little fudge factor for typing accounted for. So it's just kind of crazy that this fat ass walrus is bulky as Latias, who's been like a pinnacle of bulk ever since it's been introduced. Obviously not as good as Latias. I'd love to have Tailwind on this mon, but Ice Water is a good offensive typing. Not much resist that. It's unfortunately not gifted with Freeze Dry, but you know, if I come up against another water type, I can slog it out. I can win eventually. Hey, I can even just spam Sheer Cold and Fissure. This thing runs both of them. So you gotta watch out for that. If I'm losing and I'm about to start taking dice rolls, I'll happily take a 30% chance to win instead of a 100% chance to lose. But really, Walrein is here for that nice octuple, I forget to say that, the nice octuple ice resist, having a fire resist through its ability, and just having that nice ability to spam blizzards if I want, or if I want to have maybe a rain boosted Hydro Pump with Sableye, I can do that as well. So Walrein's a great mon, super value, I think it was like 6 points, and I definitely pay 6 points for these stats any day. Has good coverage too. Coming towards the end now, we have Dugtrio, a Alolan, because I decided maybe it's nice to have a steel type. Another fairy answer. Obviously this thing is not a defensive steel, but you know, I've seen worse defensive stats work. 35, 60, 70. Kind of reminds me of Pheromosa. I think Pheromosa is probably bulkier than this, but definitely a hell of a lot better. But you know, Alolan Dugtrio is not too bad. 110 speed is really good for this format. Tangling Hair is a nice ability. Sand Forest and Sand Veil are good if I play against other sand teams, but typically it's going to be those Luscious Locks tripping you up if you try touching it or faking it out. There's not much to say besides this thing is just a fast physical offensive mon. It has Bulldoze if I want to do weakness policy stuff with Blistephalon. Has Sucker Punch for, well, Blistephalon again. Lots of good options there, and I think it's going to be a very niche mon, but Ground is such a good offensive type. It has high horsepower, it has Earthquake, it has all the stuff it needs. And it has some good coverage options too. So I think this is going to be an underrated mon that'll be something that you can't ignore. If you ignore this thing and bring a team that can't deal with a fast high horsepower or fast Earthquake or something like that, you're going to be in a world of hurt. So that's what the Alolan Dugtrio is here for. Just another way of kind of just controlling the speed on the fast side of things. Just making sure that if you touch it and get slowed down, you're gonna regret it. Oh my goodness, man! There's a lot to talk about. Moving into the final stretch, we have Another mon that I've looked at for a couple seasons, which I think is another like giga value pick, Orbeetle. This thing is bulky, this thing is fast, this thing gets great abilities, Frisk and Telepathy, which also Noivern has. It's super good. It pairs really well with Blistephalon. Obviously, Snarl can be a problem. But, you know, we have the Helping Hand with Telepathy, plus a Mind Blown, amazing, plus Boom Burst. Less amazing, but still great. And it's another Trick Room option. Spritzy is usually going to be able to get the Trick Room off unless it gets like double targeted with super effective moves. But if I need a backup, Orbeetle will get the job done. Bug and Psychic is not the best typing, to be honest. Quite a few weaknesses here. Definitely the double up on Ghost and Dark kind of sucks, but that's okay. We have other ways of dealing with those types. But Orbeetle's really here for the long game. This is a mon that's fast enough, has Recover, and has the bulk to be able to stall out things. I think... Wait a minute, let me pause. Does this thing learn... Alright, Orbeetle does not learn Cosmic Power, but it learns Iron Defense and Calm Mind. So, picture this. Iron Defense, Calm Mind, Stored Power, Recover. The perfect set! Just don't bring a Dark type against me. But I like Orbeetle. It has a lot of flexible options. It's fast. It's surprisingly fast with that great bulk to be able to get the job done. And hey, 80 special attack, about above average. Gotta love it. So you get nice Psychic, Bug Buzz, Struggle Bug, all sorts of good shit. And you get dual screens, so can't complain. And then for my very last pick, I went back and forth. I had Sudowoodo on the roster for the longest time. But I thought about it, I thought some more, and I thought harder, and I decided, fuck it, let's go Triple Dragon. So I went with Appleton. Appleton is a good mon for these reasons right here. Look at those fucking resists. Water, Grass, Electric, all common types, Fire, Rare, but you have a resist. And I'm sure you have a lot of other weaknesses here, but let's just pretend those don't exist. Only a single weakness to Ice, thanks to that nice, thick fat. And we have very usable 100 special attack, above average, better than Noivern. Dropping Dracos off that is going to be incredible. Especially if you pair it with, like, Spritzy. Set up Trick Room, hit him with the Apple Acid on the first turn. Then you either force a switch or they lose him on. Apple Acid is just a bonkers move. Sure, Grass is an awful offensive type and actually the worst offensive type in this format. But if you get hit with one over and over and it keeps getting stronger, it'll kill you eventually. This also gets Recover. Ripen is a great ability if you want to pair it with a Citrus Berry or a Pinch Berry. Healing 50% at 50% is pretty cool. Also gets Recycle, so kind of like Snorlax, but you can also just use Recover, which is, there's pros and cons to each. Probably Recover is the better choice. But honestly, Appleton, I think, can put in a lot of work. It's very slow. There's not many, like, great Trick Room mons left. Like, Escavalier, base speed of 20, gone. What else is like Torkoal, base speed of 20, gone. Gigalith, base speed of 25, I think that's gone, and I think that is base 25. So base 30 is about as slow as you can hope for actually good offenses. And Appleton definitely has better than good when it comes to offenses. Hey, 85 attack, not too shabby. Can definitely throw you for a loop with that. So, all in all, that is the team. Look at that type chart. That is not so great. But you know, I think it's enough. I think it's good enough. Obviously, Rock is hard. It's a really hard type to find resistances to, especially in this format when you don't have Steel, which is like the de facto Rock counter. I have a quad resist and a single resist, which is fine. And a lot of the times, Blistephalon, Noivern, Walrein, and Orbeetle, those aren't all going to be coming to every game at the same time. I can deal with that. My big Fairy weakness is pretty obvious. A good starting point to team build against me, but I do have options against it. I have my Steel type, I have my Poison type, both of whom are faster than I think pretty much every Fairy left, and could probably one hit or two at KO them depending on the set. So I definitely have ways around my weaknesses. Flying is a bit harder, but I have Walrein for that. And also just lots of things my team get Rock coverage, and Ice is just... Most teams are going to be weak to Ice, honestly, but when you have the best Ice resist in the game, it makes it a little bit more manageable. Because especially when my other Ice resist is Blistephalon, it makes it a bit harder to deal with. So that's the team. I think things I did well here. I have very powerful offenses, in my opinion. Blistephalon, Noivern, Hydreigon, Venusaur, and even Appleton's not too bad. Those are all pretty powerful mons. And then I have the absolute bulk lords, which just never die, from Quagsire and Walrein. Then I have fast kind of stuff with these two that have decent offenses. And then I have just great supports with Sableye and Spritzy. super fast mode, super slow mode. And I think I just have enough options on this team to get the job done against most other teams. Because when you have to prep for possible sun mode, like possible rain mode with these two, ideally I could have grabbed the Swift Swimmer. I might do that in free agency. Then you also have to deal with Blistephalon plus Noivern, Blistephalon plus Sableye, Hydreigon plus Sableye, Noivern plus Hydreigon, or just straight up Trick Room with any of these mons to help set up Trick Room, and then Quagsire, Appleton, and even Walrein in Trick Room. There's lots of stuff you have to cover for, and I just don't know if the teams I play are going to be able to do that. I mean, we do have a league full of killers at this point. We've played enough seasons together to for everybody to be a good coach, where there's no easy matchup. So we'll see how this season turns out. There are a couple free agency moves I was thinking about, but we'll see if I end up making them. But I don't want to make any free agency moves before I actually play a game, because I think that's just a bit silly. So yeah, that is the team. Very fun team. I'm looking forward to using this. I really like how this one turned out. One of my personal favorite teams that I've drafted. Definitely like it more off the bat than my team last season, because I can see myself bringing all these mons. I went way too top heavy last season for my tastes. I like having good mons, but I like having more than 7 of them. So that's the team. Looking forward to it. Daddy Plan Part 2. Best season. Best season.